Good morning. It is 9 something. I didn't sleep worth shit, really. Um, but that's life with TBI. For over a year, I had insomnia where I didn't sleep most days. That's a symptom of a traumatic brain injury for some people. Um, Mine was severe. Um, So we found the right dosage of medication, which includes a muscle relaxer and also a mood stabilizer. And within hours, I'm usually asleep. Um, Normally between midnight and 2 a.m., I fall asleep. Um, I no longer like to get up early in the morning. I don't know why people get up for 10. Honestly, like, the shit is butt. Um, when I Uber, I usually don't Uber till noon or 2. That's when I start. Um, because I never know exactly what time I'm going to fall asleep. And I try not to schedule any appointments or anything before 10. If I do, it's because I had no other choice, really. But I have to start driving. I have about 3.5 to 45 minutes to reach my dad's. And I have to immediately get to work on his questions to make sure the questions that I have are the questions that I want, or the questions that he wants to answer, and then to get his exhibits for what he's trying to prove in order. Why do I do this? There's certain things I can't post until tomorrow because I have to testify tomorrow as well. But I will say what's publicly known is that my parents split April 12th of 2019. In November of 2019, my mother filed a civil suit for separation and divorce. I mind you, during this time, within 2 months of my father leaving, and he knew the day he left he wasn't coming back. But within 2 months of him leaving, he filed for a legal separation, which was the best thing to do. And he wanted to split things 50-50, and she didn't want that. So she kind of went MIA and then popped back up after like June. She went MIA and popped back up in November with a civil suit saying he left her with no money, which was a lie because she had over $100,000 stashed in a bank account. Which I knew about because she told me about it 10 years ago. But we're going to tell you how I came to know about that more tomorrow. And I made sure, my dad knew about that when I knew he was not coming back. So when he got the civil suit in November, he had just had a truck accident, I think about 6 weeks prior. Like, he was literally on his first week back on the road. He was in the red with the company because the insurance money that he got only paid the small bills from the accident. And so I quit my job. He didn't have any money. He called and told me he got a paper. He sent it to him. I read it to him, told him what it was about. He was very defeated because he had just been back to work. He didn't have money for an attorney. So, I said, Dad, don't worry. We'll figure it out. I didn't tell him, like, what I was going to do. But I did go ahead and put in my 2-week resignation from my job. I had planned on leaving like that next year by March or April, but it happened sooner. At the time, I was also had just like finished running back and forth to North Carolina over the mobile home we grew up in. We'll tell you more about that. But anyway, I cashed out my 403 I had to lose about $2,000 and $3,000 just to cash it out, but I knew I had at least $7,000 in that I could get enough back to hire a attorney. So I started calling around. I ran across Mr. McLean. His retainer was $3,500. I think I got about $4,500 back after they took all of my, all of the fines or whatever you call it for cashing out early. 3,500, like the day I got it, went directly to Mr. McLean. I sent him over the paperwork for court, which we had 30 days from the date my daddy got it in December, the paperwork to reply. So it took 2 weeks longer than I expected to get the money from the 403 because of their payroll schedule. So I had to answer the civil suit and file it back with the court. And I did that, and then 2 days later I was able to hire Mr. McLean, so he had to go back and undo that and then file an appropriate response. And I would say he did an okay job up until September 30th, 2020. And I'm going to tell you more about what happened during that court case tomorrow. But the deal that was made, like my dad couldn't afford, and my dad has a comprehension disability, so he's not reading all that paperwork. He's going by what he was told. I arrived late that day to the court because my flight didn't get in until I think 11. So I got to the court around 1:15. We were scheduled to be there at 1. I got there around 1:15. I walked in, sat a good 15 minutes. I didn't see my dad, and he came in. He was like, oh, a deal was struck, da-da-da-da-da. So the judge came in. They immediately went up. I didn't have time to hear what that deal was. I didn't have time to stop it. When I heard that she had got $20,000 out of that deal, like uncontested, I was very upset. So when that deal was done and the lawyer called me in, he was like, I had you fly all the way here, so I owe you an explanation. I'm like, yes, the fuck you do. My only question was, how the fuck did she get $20,000 after what the fuck she had done? Like, I was pissed the fuck off. You know what I'm saying? And my dad walked out of that court that particular day with no money, but with a spousal support payment until the next court date of $1,500 a month. I'm like, what the fuck would you do that? So I was very unhappy. He could not explain to me, and it did not make any sense why she was getting the money, why he thought it was a good idea. It turns out to me that he was unfucking prepared. They looked at my dad's 1099 and saw that he had made $200,000. Well, that's before any of the company fees come out. That's before any of his fuel, his repairs, any of that shit comes out. And I have been doing my parents' taxes since 2016. So my dad usually make between $150,000 to $200,000 a year without any repairs. By the time you finish all the repairs and gas and fuel and shit, he really only made about $60,000 a fucking year. You know what I'm saying? Brought home, about $60,000 a year. So that $1,500 a month was like bullshit, because even she can save fucking $1,500 a month throughout the years. He didn't make money like that. So basically he ran out of money within 2 months. He ran out of money. His attorney wanted more money. Instead of going back and be like, he can't afford this, da-da-da-da-da, he made a bullshit deal. I let his ass go the next day, October the 1st. Like, I fired his ass because I hired him. So I fired him. My dad said he would continue working with him since they were right there at the end. My dad believed that he was only going to have 2 months, as what Mr. McLean said, to go into mediation, and the shit would be over. The $1,500 would be dropped. Bunch of bullshit. He fed my dad to sign that fucking paper before I got there. Right? My dad knew not to sign shit before I read it, okay? So I was a little hot with him too, but I love my dad. So, you know what I'm saying? It was whatever. And so, like I said, all the attorney wanted was money. Really, all of them wanted was money. All of them wanted was money. Because my biological mother's attorney is draining the fuck out of her too. Like, if her kids had any sense, if her other daughters had any sense, they would have told her to get rid of that fucking man a long fucking time ago. Just like I told my dad to get rid of that motherfucking McLean because he was a fucking snake and they were out for cash. They didn't give a fuck about them having any money when they were left. Long as their bills were paid, they didn't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? So, And I said it because McLean actually did make a statement. I got to have my fucking bills paid too. So anyway, fuck him. Um, don't get upset because you know you got to drive. You know, like, okay. So anyway, he couldn't afford the attorney. My dad left his attorney alone after he realized he was just there for money too, and he wasn't really doing anything to help him. So their conversation stopped, I think, in January. And so the attorney filed a motion for him to step down from the case in March. Set for March, my dad called me, I think, at the end of February and said, Vina, will you come? Because I had left all this shit alone October the 1st when I fired that motherfucker. I I have like super hype of aggression having TBI, so I get mad about shit real quick. Um, but it gives me a headache, right? So I can't, gotta try not to do that. Um, my dad called and asked me would I come with him in March to that court hearing. He flew me in for that. Um, and right before the court hearing, my dad, had not talked to his lawyer, like answered any emails, any fucking thing since January. That's just a person with comprehension disability. You tell me you're not gonna represent me because I can't pay you, I ain't gonna fucking talk to you. And if you're sending a bunch of whole paperwork and emails and shit at a person with a comprehension disability, they're gonna know the fuck out of shit because they can't read it. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I went in March. Mr. McLean emailed me. After this bitch told me, after I cussed him slam out, he told me he didn't want to have shit to say to me no more. So, the feeling was mutual. But he sent me an email because my dad would not answer him. And in the email, he said, I've been trying to get in touch with your dad, da 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 da. We have a court hearing. I have a box of your dad's paperwork for his file. Like, he's going to need this paperwork for his file. So I told him, that I would be there. We'll get it on, that from court. We went, da da da. He stepped down. He gave us the box. I went through that motherfucker. In that box, my dad had already speculated that she had bought a $20,000 cash, like 2.5 months after he left. He was right. We found a receipt for the car. His lawyer had it the whole time. Did not tell my dad about it. We knew, I had told the lawyer when I hired him that I thought there was like an account with over like $100,000 in it. That's just from me guessing over the years. In June of 2020, he told us that we were right, that there was $100,000, more than $100,000 in that account, but he didn't say specifically how much. So when I got that box, I was able to get all the bank accounts, and there was around $114,000 in marital income on the day that he left. My dad only walked away with $500. My mom cleared, my biological mother, I don't call her mom. If you hear me say my biological mother, that means that's who she is. And Vivian, that's my biological mother. She cleared other two accounts that he had his name on. Left $500, $200 in one, $300 in the other. That's what my dad walked away with. She walked away with, like I said, $112,000, $114,000. When she filed suit, she didn't tell the court she even had the money. Said she was broke. She was left with no income. Lied through her motherfucking teeth. So I had told the lawyer to countersue. In my statement, we're countersuing because you left with every bit of the marital income, right? So she had to back up off that motherfucking claim. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that she had taken money already from marital income was never brought up September the 30th. That's why I was wondering how in the hell. And the fact that she had came after my father with a knife was never brought up. That's why I was like, how the hell she get $20,000? So anyway, I took back on my father's case. The box was in fucking shambles, truly. Wasn't organized at all. So I went through a good 500 pieces of paper, bank records from 2010 from 2012 up until the time they separated. It was a lot. Like I had sit on the floor many days with my cognitive therapist. Like I was putting myself under stress. But I'm going to help my dad regardless. I don't care if they had to wheel me in the courtroom in a hospital bed. As long as I got my right state of mind to read, and help my dad understand, I'm going to do that. That's why I'm here now, not only just to testify. If he had his own lawyer, I would just be here to testify when needed, but he doesn't. So I read over my dad's emails concerning the case, his paperwork, so he can know what to say, what is it about, and formulate his own response. And then I tell him how to put that into a response if he doesn't already know. So, woo, dizzy. So that is basically why I am in charge of my dad's paperwork. But I gotta get ready to go. I want to go back to bed, but I can't. So I gotta go work. And I want to make my nephew's game like my brother's baby boy. I want to I get to see him today. I'm so happy. Like, he's good for the soul. That immediately just calmed my brain. Because it was a happy thought. I want to go. I don't think he's playing in the game tonight, but I'm going to go see my boo-boo. That's the plan for this evening. I won't be able to stay long because I'm not sure what the noise is going to be like, or, bands and people and stuff like that. But I will get to see my baby for a few minutes. And I will post a video tomorrow morning right before court that's going to explain some things as to why we came to even be at a divorce hearing. We're going to give you some details on what actually happened. But I can't, because I have to testify, I can't post that until the morning before we walk into court. And then I'll post a video afterwards that everybody can come find out what happened in court.